Hey guys, Matt Bishop here, backstage at the Electric Factory in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We're on the Summerland Tour, and I'm here with Richard Patrick of Filter. Thanks for joining me, man. Good to see you again.
Thank you for having me again.
Absolutely. You guys are out here on the Summerland Tour in the wake of the release of a new album.
Yes, we are. We have a brand new record out called The Sun Comes Out Tonight, and it's all about heavy and light and the traditional Filter sound. Really, it's in many ways it's a return back to like Short Bus as well as like title of record, but currently hinged in this millennium. It's the first record with synthesizers on a record. Most of it was always organic sound design stuff. Taking a sound and turning it around, and dropping it down an octave, or the sound design was always coming from some real guitar sound or something. This is actually the first time we've had synth on it, and one of the guys who did that was Mike Laurie and John Alacrasto. So they did some great work on it. Plus, it's also a return to the drum machine. We used a drum machine the entire record, and Wind Up is awesome. And
yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah. Well, I want to come back to what you said about heavy and light, but we'll come back to that. But
okay.
You guys just signed with Wind Up for this new album. How did that partnership come about, and how excited are you guys to be in the Wind Up family now?
Well, we had released our last record with Rocket Science, and again with the indie kind of thing. It's I guess I just wasn't really necessarily feeling what they had, but you put the feelers out for other companies, and Greg Wattenberg goes, Richard Patrick's got a great voice, the band's established, if he writes a couple hit songs, we can do this. And so we were like, okay. Johnny and I and Bob sat down and wrote What Do You Say? And Greg was like, thank you very much, you're signed, let's do this, let's do this. And honestly, they are fantastic. They are a great record company. It's just like being back in a major. They have the huge infrastructure. They are passionate about all their bands. A lot of long-term relationships with their bands. Cedar, Evanescence, Creed, all those guys. And Greg's got a great ear for radio and stuff like that. And when he says, hey, what do you, when you think of a Filter hit song, what do you think of? And I was like, I don't really know. I mean, I just kind of write from the heart and I go crazy on it. And the record company usually says, okay, take a picture. That's a big, huge hit song. Welcome to the fold. But I never sat down and just said, okay, I'm going to write a hit song. And there's a lot to be said about orchestrating everything and having something catchy. Because it's the funnest part about playing like Hey Man, Nice Shot is the fact that everybody knows that one line. That's why I say Hey Man, Nice Shot. And I never really thought of it in terms like that, but that's just a hook. That's just a hook. And I always shied away from that kind of stuff because my idols like Skinny Puppy, they would never write a fucking hook. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But at a certain point, you start realizing the power in that. So now in playing like What Do You Say, or We Hate It When You Get What You Wanted, or Self-Inflicted, or any of the new songs, it's immediate. The audience has already done their homework and they get it, and they're singing Hey Man, Nice Shot, or they're singing What Do You Say, they're singing all the background vocal parts, which is awesome, and so all of my favorite bands I've discovered on the radio, whether it's The Clash, whether it's U2 or Ministry, I had to search for. Obviously Skinny Puppy, I had to search for and find it. But even them, they had Testure, and they had. So you'd hear it at the clubs, but you wouldn't necessarily hear it on the radio, but you still heard it somewhere, you know. And, so I like that configuration. I've always liked, you know, all my favorite songs have always had that immediate singability kind of thing, and even Take a Picture. I mean, you know, the best thing in the world, you know, is when we went to this like club, and it was actually like it was not a club, it was a restaurant, and they had this guy, this little old guy, and he had a drum machine and he had a little piano, and it looked like he had been in there for 10,000 years. And the next thing I know, he starts playing Take a Picture.
Oh man.
And it's like when you hear that back and you realize that your music has become a part of the culture to the point where this old guy playing a little piano, or like a little keyboard and Casio thing, you realize like how special it is to write something that people can sing, you know. So all of that being said, you know, when people say go write, make sure you write a hit song, you got to do it. You just got to kind of, you know, a lot of bands get pissed when they hear that, but you know, I saw an interview with Mick Jagger. Apparently the Rolling Stones, they were kids and they were a blues band, kind of a rock and roll blues band playing covers. And that's how they got their start. And then they go, well, you know, now it's like you got to get on the radio. You've got to get on the radio. So what we did was we went and we wrote a radio song, and you know, and it was so amazingly charming that, yeah, we'll just go ahead and conquer that too, you know. And arguably the Rolling Stones have, you know, they created what rock radio was for 30 or 40 years. I mean, it was amazing. I mean, all the way up until like Start Me Up, and you know, that stuff was on the radio. So
I think that's a natural intuition for an artist, though. I mean, you know, there's a lot of bands out there that say, oh, you know, forget everybody else, we don't want to be mainstream,
Yeah.
we want to be indie, but
Yeah.
you still want, the purpose for creating is so people enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and then hopefully they get
look
the
at-
opportunity to sit down like this and say,
But-
hey man, like, I love your stuff, I dig it, thank
Yeah,
you,
but-
you know?
that you know, like a band like the Black Keys, where it's like we're just doing some you know catchy shit that people like doing, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
They admit, like, it's not even about it. To be honest with you, music shouldn't be taken so fucking seriously. In any respect, it should not be taken so seriously. It's one thing to have an artistic thing, where Skinny Puppy, it's literally it's so far to the right, it's so avant-garde. I have an appreciation for that, but for bands to almost use that as like a cop-out, you know, like, oh, I don't want to fucking, I actually love the life that I've created, and 95% of that was because of you know, the fact that my stuff took off at radio. And you know, I live a life where, you know, a movie trailer, you know, a movie trailer will, you know, rent my song for a ton of money and put my kids through school just to have it in the Red Dawn trailer or something like that. And you know, I have no problem with that. I have no problem with success. I've never, in fact, there was a band called Craw, and they were from Cleveland, Ohio, and I go, dude, I got a record contract from Warner Brothers, and they're like, oh, so what are you gonna do? You gonna sit there with Martha Quinn, and she's gonna fucking, like, you know, that's, and by the way, for those of you who are younger, Martha Quinn was a VJ when MTV played music videos. And Martha
Miss
Quinn,
those days, man.
yeah, I do too. But Martha Quinn, you know, she had a show called Alternative Nation, and she was all about getting some of the bands like Filter, especially Nine Inch Nails, which I was in, and Ministry, and all those bands that broke through in the 90s. We weren't doing too much in the late 80s. I mean, it was dominated with like Warrant and all these other artists, and the hair metal, you know, had been there for like 10 years. So, but this guy from Craw is sitting there going, what are you gonna do? You get fucking talk to Martha Quinn and like blah blah blah. And it's like, I guess. I mean, I want people to find out about our music. I want people to and that's the thing. And because I believe that there's something to be said about the fact that I've been here for 20 years. I've known no other life than music, and I'm grateful that I've had music this time and this amount of time in my life, and to kind of sum it all up, if I'm being true to myself, you know what I mean? Because one of the other things is like, we all got jobs down at the fucking, this place at the soup kitchen, and we're like, we wash dishes and we get paid nothing. And I'm like, so wait, so you're doing that for money? And, yeah, but we're not selling out our music. It's like, okay, but you're doing something that you don't want to do, which is wash dishes for money. So who's the sellout? Like what? Like you're selling out to your credibility because you're turning you think your credibility is about being a dishwasher. Well, go be a fucking dishwasher. You know what I mean? It was a real weird conversation, and I get it. And music should be, it shouldn't be merchandise to the point of possibly like Justin Bieber or something like that. Maybe we should have less focus on him and more focus on Craw, the band. But at the same time, it's like, when I hear bands like complaining about like, dude, just learn the rules and kind of blow out all the rules and learn how to like and navigate and be yourself, but at the same time, stay true to your guns. But at the same time, make it work for you. You know what I mean? That's why we have a relationship with Wind Up Records. That's an extremely long answer, but the real marriage between Filter and Wind Up is based on having the success at radio. It's having that instant kind of, so. And that's why we like it. We understand them, they get us.
You're gonna edit all that out, right? That was
not all of it.
That was fucking ridiculously long, and I apologize.
It was a point that needs to be made, though, especially for the kids out there.
Yeah, I think so. I think the kids should hear that. Stay true to your guns, but being responsible gives you freedom. So fucking deal with that.
So, I don't know, what is it, a year or two ago, Korn puts out a new record, and it has, it's all fresh stuff. It's got a lot of dubstep influences and electronica, and now you have Filter's back with a new record, Nine Inch Nails back with a new record. Back. I even got, I have to go check my email, but I think I got an email the other day about Ministry possibly coming out with some new stuff.
Well, I know that they had a tragedy. The guitarist died. And I know that they were planning on releasing that record like a year ago. I think that kind of was held off because of his death. But, as long as Al can somehow pull it together and get up there and do it, I'd love to see it. I think Ministry's awesome. They're hugely inspirational to a lot of us. And Land of Rape and Honey is just one of those records where it's just, it's like, that's there go the trailblazer right there.
But I don't want to pigeonhole it by calling it, industrial, but I guess, that type of Filter, Nine Inch Nails, Ministry, how Korn is doing it now. Is this making a resurgence?
I mean,
this subgenre?
Well, I know that Trent going on tour and bringing the industrial sound back with us and with if it succeeds and of course it probably will with Trent leading the way, I think it will be a resurgence. And I mean, for us it's been very welcome. Like the fact that we got more industrial, because that was my thing. I was like, rock got to this level where it's just like, it sounds like it's almost country. Like it became like this country thing, and I was like, and I was listening, I heard Skrillex, and of course I heard the Korn record, but I didn't want to be so on the nose with like, Jonathan Davis has this habit of like, 1 minute, it's well, he created, I mean, Korn is just so amazingly original already, but when you attach yourself to a trend, that's why I've never really wanted to be a part of the genre, because if you're in the genre and the whole genre takes a dump, like rap rock. When rap rock took a dump, like every band that was in rap rock went down with it, you know what I mean? And it was like, oh, rap rock is so over. And see, that's the thing that, to where the artist had, it's like, I just want to be Filter. I've always wanted to just kind of make music that made sense to me, and hopefully everybody else would figure it out. So, but when I was hearing Skrillex and Deadmau5 especially, I was like, it was an inspiration to kind of like, let's dust off that. In fact, Filter's never had a synthesizer. It's always been sound design. And, now that sound design kind of, we've used it so many times, it was great to turn on the synthesizer and to have Mike Laurie and John Alcross to work on it, and it was really kind of exciting. And I like We Hate It When You Get What You Wanted is actually probably the most industrial song we've ever had, really. I mean, Hey Man, Nice Shot is still a rock song, but We Hate It When You Get What You Want is definitely way more like what I would consider old school industrial. So, we keep it around. We keep it around. We love it. But at the same time, on the new The Sun Comes Out, there's a song called It's My Time, which is just me and a computer, or me and a piano, and Bob Marlatte's playing piano, and I sang it, and it was, the song was so compelling just by itself that we just left it, as a piano ballad, and so again, there's a return to industrial for us within like the first 2 or 3 songs, but at the same time we're always exploring the other options, because that's what Filter's always been done. I mean, I got criticized because we were doing Take a Picture, but that came from me. Like I made a conscious decision, like this song means something to me. It's about how hard it is for me to cope with my alcoholism. I didn't even realize that until like a couple years after I got sober and read the lyrics. I was like, this guy's just a drunken mess. This is one big huge cry for help. But so I kind of figure like we're a little bit more like the Clash. The Clash is like, they were making music for people on oil rigs, which is what Joe Strummer said. He said they were trying to make music for oil rigs, and I think that's kind of cool, because they stuck so much into double records, and they believed that more songs meant better value. That's literally what they were thinking about. And people that weren't, at record stores, so they gave them these huge records with like tons and tons of genres and tons of, they had all kinds of stuff going on. They had reggae, they had punk, they had hip hop, the beginnings of hip hop. They had, electronic stuff going on. They had like, the Radio Clash. I mean, they had so many amazing songs. So I think that's kind of what we've always aspired to, is just to have a lot of different elements and to enjoy them all. Is there an industrial resurgence? Could be.
I hope so.
I hope so too. I like it. I like industrial. I think it's better than country rock. Be honest with you.
Well, we just got the knock from the old tour manager, so we gotta wrap it up. But you guys are putting together your fall tour schedule right now. We're gonna see a lot more from Filter on the road, but I'm closing with one hardball question.
Oh, okay.
Do you think we could see 9 Inch Nails and Filter share a stage
I
at
would
any point in the coming
I would love to do
years
that.
or so.
I would love to do that. I don't know if it's going to happen this year, but this year's almost over. There's another year coming right after this one.
And this new record is good. I know the NIN record's going to be good, and when you have good records, that means you get to tour for a long time.
Yes. We have plenty of fucking great songs on this record, and it's going to do a lot of work for us, so we're really happy.
Nice. Dude, I'm going to let you go.
Thank you.
you so much.
I appreciate it.
Filter, ladies and gentlemen, the great Richard Patrick joining me. The new album, The Sun Comes Out Tonight, is out now on Wind Up Records, so go get a copy if you haven't already. Summerland Tour, all summer long, and then plenty of new dates going into the fall and the coming months and years, hopefully.
That's right.
Crank it up.